Exactly. And another key ingredient for a good story is authenticity. People can spot a fake a mile away, especially online. So don't try to be someone you're not, Be yourself, share your perspective, and don't be afraid to show a little vulnerability.
It's funny. Sometimes it feels almost counterintuitive to be vulnerable on social media. Everything's so polished and perfect. But you're saying that being real, even showing flaws, can actually make people trust you more.
It really can. People connect with realness. They want to see the human behind the brand, behind the profile picture. It's authenticity that builds trust.
Okay, so authenticity is key. What else makes content engaging? The kind of content people want to share and talk about.
Well, one thing we haven't mentioned yet is social proof.
Social proof. What do you mean by that?
In a world where we're constantly bombarded with information, we tend to look to others for guidance. We want to see that other people have liked something before we invest our time or money.
Oh, right, like reading online reviews before you buy something.
Exactly. It's the same on social media. People are more likely to engage with your content if they see other people have already liked it, shared it, commented on it.
Okay, so like showcasing testimonials and reviews.
Yep.
Or user-generated content.
Absolutely. Let your happy customers do the talking. Encourage your followers to share their experiences. Run contests, ask for feedback, make it easy for people to tag you.
The more social proof you have, the more trustworthy you seem.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got authenticity and social proof. What else?
Well, another really important element is providing value.
Value, right. I mean, that seems obvious. But what does that actually look like on Facebook? What kind of value are people looking for?
Think about what you look for when you're scrolling. You're probably looking for something that, enriches your life in some way. It teaches you something new, entertains you, inspires you, maybe even helps you solve a problem.
So like expert insights or practical tips, behind-the-scenes looks, a good laugh, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Give your audience something they won't find anywhere else.
And don't be afraid to get creative with it. Use those different formats we talked about. Video, live streams, text, images.
Absolutely. And don't forget about interactive elements, polls, quizzes, Q&A sessions. Get people involved. Make them feel like they're part of the conversation.
So it's a combination of things. Telling good stories, being authentic, providing value, and experimenting to see what works.
That's a great summary. And all of that contributes to something bigger. Building community.
Community. I hadn't thought about it like that. How do you create a sense of community on a platform as big as Facebook?
It's about fostering those connections that make people feel like they belong, Respond to comments, engage in conversations, create a space where people feel welcome.
Like hosting live events.
Yeah.
Or creating Facebook groups where people can connect.
Exactly. The more you build that sense of community, the more loyal and engaged your followers will be.
Okay, so we've gone from storytelling to authenticity, social proof, providing value, and now building community. It's amazing how all these things are connected.
They really are. They all work together to create a truly engaging Facebook experience.
All right, so we've covered a lot of the philosophical side of content creation. Now I want to get a bit more practical. What about the technical side? Are there any tips or tricks for optimizing our content to make sure it's seen by the right people?
Definitely. We've talked about the algorithm and how it favors certain things, but there are things you can do to make sure your content is reaching the right audience.
Like using relevant keywords and hashtags? I know those are important for SEO, but do they matter on Facebook too?
Yeah, they do. When people search for something on Facebook, they often use keywords and hashtags. So make sure your content is optimized for those terms.
So if I'm posting about, let's say, healthy recipes, I should include keywords like vegan, gluten-free, meal prep.
Exactly. And don't forget hashtags. Use a mix of broad and specific ones to reach a wider audience.
Okay, keywords and hashtags. Got it. What else?
Another important thing is to optimize your images and videos for mobile. Most people are accessing Facebook on their phones these days.
Right, so make sure everything looks good on a small screen.
Absolutely. Use high-quality images and videos. Make sure they're sized and formatted correctly. Avoid using too much text on images. It can be hard to read on a phone.
And make sure your videos have captions.
Yes. Lots of people scroll with the sound off. So captions are key for accessibility. And speaking of accessibility, think about making your content inclusive for everyone. Use alt text for images. Consider color contrast. Be mindful of the language you use.
That's a great point. Inclusivity is so important. Okay, so we've got keywords, hashtags, mobile optimization, accessibility. Anything else?
One more thing, consistency. The algorithm likes accounts that post regularly, so try to stick to a schedule. It's better to post less often and create high-quality content than to post a ton of mediocre stuff every day.
Right, quality over quantity.
Exactly. And finally, make sure you're tracking your results and adjusting your strategy as you go. Facebook gives you tons of data about your audience. Use those insights to figure out what's working and what's not.
So pay attention to reach, engagement, website traffic, all that stuff.
Yes. Use that data to make informed decisions about your content.
This has been so helpful. We've gone from the technical stuff
Right.
to the art of storytelling and community building, and now we've even touched on optimization. Feels like we've covered almost everything. Almost.
Is there anything else we should explore before we wrap up? You know, there is one more thing, something that deserves its own deep dive, I think. We've talked about creating content that resonates, but how do we make it stand out? Everyone's competing for attention. How do you cut through the noise and capture the attention of your audience? That's what I'd like to explore next.
All right, so we've talked about creating content that resonates. But how do we make it stand out? I mean, it's a crowded space. Everyone's competing for attention.
You're absolutely right. And that's why a strong brand identity is so crucial.
So it's not enough to just create good content.
Yeah.
You need a strong brand behind it. What does that even look like on Facebook?
Well, think of your brand as a person. What are their values, their style? What makes them unique and memorable?
So more than just a logo or a color scheme, you're talking about, like, personality, a voice, a story that sets you apart.
Exactly. And that identity needs to be consistent. Across all your platforms, including Facebook, people should be able to recognize your brand instantly, whether they see your content on their feed, in stories, or messages.
Yeah, it's like having a signature style.
Exactly. But having a strong brand is just part of it. You also need to be innovative.
Innovative? What do you mean by that?
Well, don't be afraid to try new things, new formats, new ideas. Push the boundaries of what you can do on Facebook.
I like that. Don't just follow the trends, set them. But isn't there a risk of, like, trying to be too clever and then maybe alienating your audience?
There's always a risk, yeah. But I think the bigger risk is blending in. The algorithm rewards creativity, so take risks. Try something different.
Okay, I see your point. So maybe that means incorporating AR into your content or creating, like, interactive experiences, maybe collaborating with other brands.
Exactly. Think outside the box, surprise your audience, and make sure it aligns with your brand identity.
Right, because if it feels random or disconnected, it won't work.
Exactly. Now, in addition to branding and innovation, I think another key to standing out is personalization.
Personalization, yeah. I hear that word a lot, but
Yeah.
what does it actually mean on Facebook?
Well, in a world of mass marketing, people want personalized experiences. They want to feel like you're talking directly to them.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But how do you personalize content on a platform that reaches billions of people?
Actually, Facebook has some great tools for this. You can use targeting to reach specific demographics, interests, behaviors. You can use dynamic content to show different versions of your ads. And you can use retargeting to reach people who've already interacted with you.
So it's about using data to make sure the right people see the right content.
Exactly. The more personalized you can make it, the more engaging it will be.
Okay, so we've got strong branding, innovation, personalization. Anything else we should be thinking about?
Yeah, one more thing. We need to talk about ethics and responsibility. As Facebook becomes a bigger part of our lives, we need to be mindful of the impact of our actions.
You mean like thinking about the bigger picture, not just focusing on likes and shares, but thinking about the consequences of our content.
Exactly. Be transparent about your intentions, respect people's privacy, avoid those manipulative tactics.
So no clickbait headlines or spreading misinformation.
Right. And be mindful of how your content can impact individuals and society. Social media has the power to shape opinions, influence behavior, even spark social movements. We need to use that power wisely.
It's a lot to consider.
It is, but the more we talk about it, the better we'll be able to navigate social media responsibly.
So as we wrap things up, what are the key takeaways you want to leave our listeners with?
First, remember that Facebook is always changing. Stay flexible and adaptable.
Don't be afraid to experiment.
Second, never underestimate human connection. Be authentic, share your story, build relationships.
And finally, use your platform for good. Be responsible, be ethical.
Those are all great points. Facebook can be such a powerful tool for connection, for creativity, even for social change. But it's up to us to use it wisely.
This has been such a fantastic deep dive. Thank you so much for sharing your insights.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us. We hope this deep dive has given you a better understanding of Facebook in 2025 and inspired you to create content that truly connects.